Hey everybody, this is Mike with the QuestBrothers, and today we're doing a build video for the Arcane Trickster. This is for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, although a lot of this will also carry through to the true pen and paper game. The Arcane Trickster is a prestige class. That means that you're not going to be able to take it at first level. You're going to have to build up so you can get the prerequisites. You're going to have to take at least a couple levels in one or more classes to be able to take any of the prestige classes, let alone Arcane Trickster. So the next question would be, why do we want to be an Arcane Trickster? The way I like to look at it, and I think the only way that really makes sense and adds value, is to not look at it as a thief who can cast spells, because in that case, you're probably better off just being a thief. You'll be disappointed in your thief abilities because a lot of them you're not going to be able to get. So you're going to be a pretty poor thief. And if you focus on the rogue class afterwards, after you finish this prestige class, I think you're going to be kind of disappointed with it. On the other hand, if you look at it the other way and you focus on the magic side, then you'll end up being a magic user with almost full spell progression who has a lot of different thief abilities and the ability to do sneak attack damage and a few other things as well, which can really add value and flexibility to a magic user. So you can be a magic user who's surprisingly good at fighting instead of a thief who knows a little bit of magic and is otherwise pretty bad. So first of all, we have ranged ledgerman. This is nice, especially in a video game where you're not going to have to sit through your character running up to every item you have to unlock or every trap you want to disarm. Also, if you fail disarming a trap, you'll be at range, so when it explodes or whatnot, you're not going to get damaged by it because you'll be far enough away. Next, you get sneak attack. They get sneak attack every second level. So by the time you're finished this class, including the prerequisites, you're going to have 7 dice of sneak attack damage. That's going to be when you're, I think, either 13th or 14th level, which is pretty nice. That is going to be very close to what an actual rogue would have. And sneak attack is pretty easy to get in this game. All you have to do is have another ally attacking an enemy with you. It simplifies the flanking rules from the pen and paper game, which also kind of makes your impromptu sneak attack useless, or at least have a lot less utility than it would otherwise. Impromptu sneak attack is one of the main things about an Arcane Trickster. In this game, it's not very useful because the main purpose of this is to let you do sneak attack when you normally wouldn't be able to. In this game, it's pretty easy to always do sneak attack as long as you have allies in your party. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's hard to say. Yes, this is not that useful, but then the sneak attack becomes way more useful. So in the end, I still think you end up ahead. Then you have Invisible Thief, which can be nice. It's going to let you, at the end of this, it'll give you 10 rounds of being able to turn invisible for free. So that'll let you sneak by an enemy, pass through an area, do a whole bunch of different things, and you can use it a fair amount. 10 is a pretty decent amount of times you'll be able to use that. Then finally, the capstone, and what really adds the most value, and I would say makes it worthwhile to do this build, is surprise spells. This lets you add your sneak attack dice of damage to any spell you cast as long as the target is flat-footed. This is really amazing. This means if you run up and you see some enemies and they don't see you, which isn't that hard if you're an Arcane Trickster because you're going to have levels of stealth, you can cast a magic missile at them and you'll do the magic missile damage, which is going to be at this level probably 3d4 damage plus 3 or whatnot, plus 7d6 damage, which is huge. Also, you can just cast a cantrip. It's a free cantrip at them and you do the damage like 1d4 acid splash plus 7d6 damage. And all that damage is going to be the same damage type as the spell. So it's going to be all acid damage or all fire damage or all force damage. This can be an incredibly potent ability. You sneak up to a whole group of enemies, you cast a fireball. Instead of doing, say, 7 or 8d6 damage at that level, you'd be doing that plus your 7 dice of sneak attack. So that's going to be basically doubling your damage output level 13 or 14. And even later on, when you're at level 20, an extra 7d6 is really nice. So now that we know why we want to be an Arcane Trickster, let's try to figure out how. We have to meet the prerequisites. This is one of the hard parts of playing a prestige class is meeting these and doing it quick enough that you're not wasting all of your levels or wasting all your time and making a very, very suboptimal build. What we need here, 3 of them are skills. You need trickery to have 4 ranks. That is not 4 ranks after your attributes are counted in or any bonuses. That is 4 ranks that you put in. You can only put maximum of 1 per each level you have, which means you'd have to be level 4 and have put 1 in per level to be able to get trickery at 4. Same thing with mobility, another skill has to be at 4. Finally, knowledge arcana, another skill, has to be at 4. So all of these, you have to make sure that by the time you're 4th level, you have put in 4 points into each of these. Not very hard to do with our build, because we're going to be focusing on intelligence. You're going to have a lot of skill points. Next, you need to have sneak attack of 2. This is not a skill. This is counting your sneak attack dice. Sneak attack dice is just what you get for being a rogue. And generally you get 1 at level 1 and then 1 every 2nd level after that, every 2 levels after that. So by the time you're level 3, you will have 2 of these. We have a trick that we use to skip all that and make it so that you're going to be able to be just a level 1 rogue and still take this class, but we'll get into that a little bit after. Next, and most importantly for us, you're going to need to be able to cast 2nd level arcane spells. This means that for a wizard, you'd have to be 3rd level. For an arcanist, you'd have to be 4th level. And same thing for a sorcerer. Sorcerer, arcanist, and a lot of other casters only get 2nd level spells at 4th level. Wizard, which is what we're going to pick, gets them at 3rd level. That means if you add the 1 level of rogue, which I told you about, plus 3 levels of wizard, we're able to get into this class just sneaking in as low as possible. And at 4th level, with the 3+1, we'll be able to take this. So our 5th level is actually going to be Arcane Trickster. This is one of the fastest ways to be able to take not only this, but any of the prestige classes. So let's go into how we can accomplish this. First of all, with this build, you are going to be starting off as a rogue. There's a number of reasons for this, not the least of which is the game is much easier at low levels as a rogue than it is as a wizard. Low level wizards are very weak and easy to squish, I guess you could say. Whereas if you are a rogue, you can actually, you could do pretty good damage. You have higher hit points. You can use weapons. Basically, you'll be a lot more effective at low levels as a rogue. So we take our 1st level as a rogue. I've looked through all of the subtypes. Most of them are not worth considering. The one we're going to go for is Underground Chemist, however, because it adds brew potions. This is nice. Basically, it's just a free feat. And the penalty for being an underground chemist doesn't actually even start until level 2. And with this build, we're never going to hit level 2 as a rogue. We're only ever going to take the 1 level. So that doesn't affect us. So it's great. We get a free feat. It costs us nothing. For race, there's a number of different races you can choose. For this build, we're going to go for the Tiefling. The stat allocation for the Arcane Trickster, the most important stat is going to be intelligence. 2nd most important is going to be dexterity. 3rd most important is going to be a split between strength and constitution. Constitution, because you will be in melee combat sometimes. It's nice to have some hit points and you don't want your fortitude save to be too low. Strength, almost the same reason. You're going to be in melee combat sometimes. It's nice to have a little bit extra damage. We're going to be using generally weapons where you'll be using your dexterity as a bonus to hit. So strength isn't that important for us. It's mostly just going to be a little teeny bit extra to damage. Our dump stats for this build are going to be wisdom and charisma. And we're going to be taking a background, which lets us focus our dump completely on charisma and just get rid of that completely as much as we can. We'll have a little bit of wisdom because because of this background, which I'll tell you about. And it's nice to have a little bit of a bonus to the saving throw, the will saving throw from wisdom. Let's take a look. We're just going to be taking the standard Tiefling. Right out of the bat, it gives you +2 to dexterity and intelligence, which is what we want. It gives us a -2 penalty to charisma, which is what we want to dump, so that's great. It gives us a bonus to persuasion, which is nice. And as we'll see, we're actually going to be not too bad at persuasion, and stealth checks. Both of those are nice. It's going to be something pretty important to us. The rest of it is not a huge deal. All right. So for background, the 2 I would recommend is Pickpocket This is because you get +2 bonus to initiative. Initiative can be pretty important. I have found, however, that in playing this game, I almost prefer a low initiative than high because, especially as a rogue, you want to be double teaming any enemy you fight. So if you get a higher initiative than your teammates, you're just gonna delay until they go anyway, because they have to be in combat before you go into combat, unless your enemy's flat-footed, or you don't even get your sneak attack damage, which is mostly what we're going to be relying on. The second choice is going to be Acolyte, and this is nice because it lets you use your wisdom instead of charisma when attempting any type of persuasion check. So this will include diplomacy, intimidation, and bluff. More or less for any type of social check, use your wisdom instead of your charisma, so we can completely ignore charisma. Moving forward, for our stats, we want to have, again, a high intelligence. We're going to set this at 19. Once we hit level 4, we're going to put our bonus stat in here, which is going to make it 20. Dexterity, we want to be quite high as well. Put it at 16 for now, see what we can do. Charisma, take all the way down to 5. Wisdom, we can put at 12, doesn't cost us much. Strength at 12. Con of 12. Let's see, that leaves us with extra 5 points. Perfect. Okay, we can get dexterity all the way to 18, intelligence to 19, which is going to be 20 at 4th level. And then every other stat bonus after that, we're also going to put into intelligence. So we're going to leave dexterity and all the rest of the stats as they are. Everything is going to be going into intelligence going forward. All right. So for the skills, as you can see, we have 7 skill points. That is a heck of a lot. So again, you can see here our persuasion, because of that background, we're starting off at +2 instead of -3. The only thing that's going to be low for us is use magic device, but because we're going to be an arcane trickster, we don't really need use magic device very often because we're going to be a magic user ourselves. There we go. So we'll put 1 into persuasion just for fun. Perception is important. And then make sure we have our mobility. We have our knowledge arcana. All right, so we have our trickery, we have our mobility, we have our knowledge arcana. We're going to be wanting to put 1 point into these every level to make sure by the time we're level 4, this is going to be a 4 in each of these 3 fields. The rest you can just put wherever you want. It really doesn't matter all that much. Let's just do athletics and stealth. That seems fun. For our feat, this is going to be very, very, very important. We want to take a feat which is going to give us an extra die. Let's just use the search function here. Let's just do the sneak. There we go. Accomplished sneak attacker. This is not going to do anything for us right away, but it is incredibly important for our build. You can take this at 3rd level as long as you're going to make sure you do not forget to take it. Because if you forget, that literally destroys this build we're working on here. I'm just going to take it now because even though it doesn't do anything until we hit that higher level, we don't want to forget. So there you go. We have it. Your deity doesn't matter. For us, let's just take the drunken hero. Here we go. Alignment, again, doesn't particularly matter for this build. We are not going to be tied to alignment in any of the things that we're going to be taking. We'll just go with chaotic good. So that is the rogue portion. Now, I'm just going to pretend that we've hit level 2, and we're going to carry on, and I'm just going to show you what we're going to take at level 2. So everything else is going to be the same. Remember, this is from level 2 onwards. So we're a level 1 underground chemist. We've already leveled. We are now level 2. For our level 2 selection, we take wizard. There's a number of different choices you can take for this. For this particular build, we're just going to stick with the standard wizard because none of the subtypes really add all that much. So we're going to take wizard. Then we are going to make sure that we go to our skills. You're going to make sure that you put the levels in mobility, trickery, and knowledge arcana so that you just keep on pumping into those. Ignore this here. This is just because I'm faking a level 2. These are actually all going to be class skills for us because we're multi-classing from the rogue into the wizard at level 2. So again, mobility, trickery, knowledge arcana, keep pumping those up. You're going to stay as a wizard, put skills and abilities. It doesn't matter. You can choose whatever you want as long as you make sure you pump these up each level. At level 4, make sure that everything looks fine. You'll notice your sneak attack will be 2 dice. You're going to be able to cast second level spells. So from level 4, you're going to have 1 level of rogue, 3 levels of wizard. When you level up, so you're going into level 5, that's when you're going to come here, scroll down, take Arcane Trickster. That's it. Then you just stick with Arcane Trickster until you finish it out. It's got 10 levels in it. From then on, there's a couple different choices. I would recommend either just going back into Wizard, or possibly you can go into Eldritch Knight. If you do want to go into Eldritch Knight, you're going to make sure at some point you pick up martial weapon proficiency. That's a bit more advanced. For my build, I think I'm just going to go into Wizard and just stick with Wizard, because we are going to take the school of Conjuration. Let's just take a quick look at that. Again, for our build, it doesn't matter what school you end up taking. So we have Abjuration, Conjuration, Divination, blah, 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 all of these. Conjuration, it's going to let you take dimensional steps. So that means that if you take this, you're going to be able to use this ability at level, I believe it's going to be 17, 18, or 19. Yeah, 17 or 18. You'll be able to finally use dimensional steps. So it's not going to be a hugely powerful ability, but because we can do melee combat and positioning can be more important for us than a wizard, it's nice to be able to get into and out of combat. It can still be pretty nice to take this. Again, like I said, this isn't a huge deal until after we've already finished all of our Arcane Trickster everything anyway. And you're going to be able to cast spells to let you teleport around. Not a huge deal. Really, you can just choose whatever one of these schools you like. I'm just going to end up with Conjuration as mine for this build. Anyway, that's all you need to know in how to build an Arcane Trickster. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, take a look at our playthrough where we're actually going to be playing this exact build throughout the game. And feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.